Okay, let's dive right into this explainer. Today, we're exploring the absolutely wild viral phenomenon of people literally lining up outside stores for useless plastic dumplings. It feels like just yesterday we were talking about Labu boxes or NATO's squishy toys, but right now there is a brand new product dominating the market that looks almost identical. It's a literal plastic dumpling that comes inside a little plastic bamboo steamer box, and yet somehow this simple piece of plastic has triggered an absolute avalanche of consumer chaos. So, here's the core mystery we need to solve today. Why on earth are grown adults fighting over these things? I mean, we're talking about people queuing up before stores even open. You've got scalpers buying out the entire inventory just to trigger crazy eBay bidding wars. There's massive online drama, and get this, there are even reports of kids accidentally burning themselves trying to microwave these toys. It's nuts. How did a simple squishy toy spark this level of absolute societal frenzy?
Well, to really understand that, you have to look at the sheer scale of the whole thing. Spemski, Sunny Angels, Calico Critters, Munchiki, Miffy, Crybaby, and of course, our mystery dumplings. Seeing them all listed out like this, it really hits you, doesn't it? This isn't just a random one-off trend. It's become the ubiquitous industry standard. Seriously, look at the most successful toys released over the last couple of years. Almost all of them rely on the exact same underlying mechanics. This is no longer just a toy. It is a meticulously crafted formula.
And that brings us to our first major concept, blind boxes and scarcity marketing.
So the engine running this whole hype machine is scarcity marketing. Basically, companies intentionally limit the supply of a product, like manufacturing a super rare glitter dumpling or a mini dumpling to drive compulsive, addictive buying behaviors. But the real genius here? It's how they combine that scarcity with a sensory experience. They take the super satisfying, tactile, ASMR squishiness of the toy and they lock it away inside a blind box. You have literally zero idea what you're getting. Boom. That combination creates this pure, unadulterated dopamine rush. It acts as the perfect, highly addictive consumer trap.
And honestly, the hollow nature of these tactics becomes so obvious when you look at how the promotions actually work. The company behind Mystery Dumplings recently launched a golden ticket promotion. A total rip-off of Willy Wonka, right? But instead of a magical chocolate factory or, $1 million prize like we've seen from massive influencers, what do you actually get if you find the golden dumpling? A $1,000 gift card to Five Below. Seriously, that's it. In the grand scheme of corporate marketing budgets, that is incredibly measly. And yet, people are still out there pitching tents on drop day just for a chance to find it.
Which leads us to a pretty uncomfortable question. Are we looking at toy aisles or casinos?
The contrast here is just staggering. Take a look at adult betting, specifically prediction markets. Recently, a U.S. soldier made $400,000 betting on geopolitical events. Now that space is heavily debated and highly scrutinized, for good reason. Historically, we've put strict regulations and age gates in place to protect youth from the addictive nature of gambling. But then you look at blind box toys. They use the exact same psychological dopamine mechanics, the thrill of the gamble, the totally unknown outcome, the financial investment, but because they're wrapped in bright, colorful plastic and thrown into the youth market, completely unregulated. We obsess over monitoring adults making bets, but we entirely ignore the exact same mechanics when they're targeting teenagers and kids.
Now let's move into what sources say is probably the darkest layer of this whole phenomenon, the cost of viral kids.
One source highlighted this absolutely fascinating, kind of terrifying dynamic with this quote. A kid is told to shut up, and then when the phone comes out, that's the one chance you get to scream your head off. Think about that. Think about a normal child's life. In restaurants, at school, in the backseat of the car, they're constantly told to keep it down. Maybe they're handed a tablet to stay pacified. But the second a parent pulls out a smartphone camera and hands them a mystery blind box, the rules totally flip. The child is instantly conditioned to know that to get parental approval, to get laughs, to get millions of views on TikTok, they have to perform. They literally have to scream, act surprised, and go totally wild for the camera.
And what that leaves us with is just soulless content. These unboxing videos are quite literally the most basic form of content imaginable. You hand a child a dumpling, they rip it open, they react. That's the whole video. It is purely extractive. We're talking about adults harvesting a child's naive, authentic, emotional reaction just to farm views, engagement, and profit. And the ultimate irony? They're doing all this to sell a meaningless plastic ball that, let's be real, is going straight into the trash in about 3 weeks when the next viral toy drops.
And that brings us to the final, bizarre twist of this explainer, when adults take over.
You can actually watch this crazy consumer life cycle play out in real time. It starts innocently enough. Kids see the unboxing videos online and, naturally, they want the toys. But then, unwilling parents suddenly have to morph into these hardcore treasure hunters. They're driving all over town, joining subreddits, memorizing delivery truck schedules just to beat the scalpers. Then, the parents actually get sucked into the hype themselves. They start assigning arbitrary monetary value to these things, getting genuinely mad if they pull a common red dumpling instead of a super rare color. Until finally, the kids are just removed from the equation entirely. You've got adults buying, trading, and hoarding these little plastic toys purely for themselves. If you compare classic collectibles to modern blind boxes, the shift is pretty shocking. Take Pokémon cards, for example. Finding a rare holographic Charizard is a massive thrill, sure, but it actually has attached value and playable utility. It theoretically has unique powers to help you win an interactive game. Mystery dumplings, on the other hand, completely hollow value. A glitter dumpling doesn't do a single thing that a red dumpling can't do. It's entirely devoid of depth. It's literally just a system of random colors designed by a company purely to force you to keep buying more until you find the rare one.
Which leads us perfectly into this real-world anecdote the internet has dubbed Glitter Dumpling Gate. It literally perfectly encapsulates how adults have completely lost their minds over these scarcity mechanics. Okay, so the story goes like this. A mother is filming her daughter and her daughter's friend in the backseat of our car. She hands them both a mystery dumpling. Her daughter opens hers and gets the super common, heavily disliked red dumpling. The friend opens hers and pulls the ultra-rare glitter dumpling. And what does the adult mother do? She physically forces the friend to hand over the rare glitter dumpling to her own daughter, simply because she was the one who bought them. No way, right? This adult placed so much artificial value on a useless piece of glittery plastic that she confiscated it from a child. This right here is the absolute end stage of the blind box economy. The adults care way more than the kids do.
So, as we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with one final, pretty provocative thought to chew on. Are we actually buying toys, or are we just buying dopamine hits for the camera? When the product itself has zero utility, when the marketing is entirely built on unregulated gambling mechanics, and when the main joy comes from extracting a reaction for social media, you really have to ask yourself, who is actually benefiting here? I highly encourage you to critically examine these consumer habits being pushed onto us. Thanks so much for joining me for this explainer, and hey, keep asking the right questions.